Burely Sew.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Burely Sew. I'm your host Purified, and today we've got part 2 of the button and buttonhole video series, and today it's going to be the button. So let's jump right in. As you can see right here, I've got the button foot. It's an M foot. It's just a little plastic foot with the blue stoppers in the front that help hold the button in place. And you can see in the back there's a little tail that stops the button from moving back any further, and then the blue part grips the button while it's sitting underneath. So we're just going to pick up where we left off from our last video, remove the presser foot for sewing the hole, and we're going to replace that with the presser foot that holds the button down. And it works just like every other presser foot change up. Just release the old one and lower the presser foot holder onto the new presser foot. Then you just want to make sure that you raise up your buttonhole lever and then take the thread and run it under the presser foot. The next thing that's very important is you want to lower your feed dogs. And on the SE400 you do that in the back of the machine. You just flip this little lever to the left, and that won't interfere while you're sewing your button onto your fabric. Alright, so next we need to figure out the space between the holes, and I'm just going to simply measure that with this little clear ruler that I have. I'm measuring it in the English system, so inches, but the machine wants it translated to millimeters. So I've got our old stitch here from the hole, and now we're going to move it over to the button stitch, and that's stitch number 61. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into the settings, and then you're going to want to change the preset from 3.5 to whatever we need to convert it to. But first I need to go to Google and figure out what 1/8 of an inch is in millimeters, and it's 3.175. So it only goes in half millimeter increments, so the closest is 3.0 millimeters, and we're just going to go with that. So now we've got that figured out, we can go ahead and lay out where we want our button on our material. And if it's a 4-hole button, you want to put your mark so that it's in the middle of the 4 holes. And if it's a 2-hole button, obviously you just want to put it in the middle of the 2 holes. So we've got our little mark here, and I'm just using tailor's chalk on this fabric so that it comes off. And just to show you how the button goes under here without the fabric real quick, you lift up your presser foot and just slide it right into place, and it'll stop with that little tail in the back, and the blue helps grip it to the front. So now that I've showed you that, we'll go ahead and grab our fabric here with our marking on it on where we wanted to place our button. And then we'll take our button, and if it's a 4-hole button, you're going to want to do the first 2 holes that are closest to you first. So just line up that on your marks, however you have it figured out or marked out. And it's going to move a little bit, so it doesn't have to be perfect right now as you're lining it up, but you can just slide the whole package back and then raise up your presser foot above the resting position, then it won't bump it accidentally, and then lower it down. And then you're going to want to take your needle and manually lower it using the hand wheel into your right buttonhole or whatever you have the needle lined up. So the buttonhole is like a zigzag stitch in the fact that it goes from left to right, left to right, left to right. So you want to make sure that both downstrokes are lined up with your hole, otherwise you can damage your needle or break your button, and we don't want that to happen. Alright, so now we'll just get going with the stitch, and it's a programmed length. It's just when you hit the pedal and hold it down, it does what it needs to do. It goes back and forth like a zigzag stitch. And the one thing you want to remember is do not cut the thread. Don't use the automatic cut if you have one on your machine at all. And now we're just going to reposition back to do the same thing that we just did with the front 2 holes. If you have a 4-hole button, and just slide it back. If you have a 2-hole button, you're done, and then you can skip this part or just watch it real quick for when you do have a 4-hole. And then we'll show you how to tie it off. It needs to be tied off yet. So we've aligned to the back, and as we did earlier, we just use the hand wheel, and once we're ready to go, we can just start the stitch. Alright, so I'm going to skip ahead here real quick just so we can save some time. But remember, I said do not cut if you have an automatic cut, do not. Just lift up after your stitch is done, pull the string, pull the thread with you with your project, and then you've got your side cutter on the side of the machine, and you can just use that. You want to leave enough length that you're able to tie 2 small knots, and that's what we're going to do next. So you might want to remember to put your feed dogs back up if you're not sewing any more buttons, in case you start sewing a project and it's not moving. But so we've got these strings up on top, and one of them's coming from the other side. One of them's going to be from when you started your stitch, and one of them's going to come from when you finished your stitch, and that's the one that you kind of need to find. So you need to poke around with your seam ripper and see if you can find the loose stitch there, and then kind of work its way out and then pull it through back to this side. So once you've got it, once you think you have it, you can pull it and then flip the piece of material over so that you can see that you're actually pulling the right thread, and that's what I'll do right here. So check, and that's good. And now we've got this piece and then our end piece, and we're just going to tie that off into 2 tight knots. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and trim off our excess thread, and we're going to take a look at the finished product. So as I finish everything up here, I just want to say thanks to everybody for watching the channel and subscribing and all your great comments. I'm doing as best as I can to keep a video coming out just about every week, about 4 a month. And as I said in the beginning of a previous video, the buttonhole video, that was a special request, and this one was too. So I do try to get to your videos, and I do appreciate everybody watching and sharing my videos. So here we have our final product. We've got our button all sewed up and looks very good, nice and tight, and it's all cleaned up on the back. And then we'll just slide it into the buttonhole that we made in the previous video, and there you go. So there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, please leave your comments below. I'm Purified, and thanks for watching Burely Sew.